And despite 2022 proving to be a difficult home buying environment, Hispanics increased their home ownership rate to 48.6%. That's according to a new report from the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. For more on the outlook for real estate, we're joined by 21st Century CEO Mike Miedler. Mike, thank you for joining us here. Could you just dig into some of these stats for us? Some of them pretty eye-opening.
Hey, Jared, absolutely. So I just came back 2 weeks ago from the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals down in Washington, D.C., where they just released their home ownership report. Believe it or not, Latinos are the only demographic that consistently grew their home ownership over the last decade. You mentioned the number, about 48.6% home ownership across that group. Urban Institute believes that Latinos will account for 70% of first-time home buyers over the next 20 years. And so I think that's being driven obviously by the cohort in general, their median age being much younger than the general population, and the fact that they increased by about 630,000 new household formations in 2022, which was the largest gain that that group has seen in a decade and the largest among any demographic group. So like many others, they're looking for their fair share of the American dream here and buying a home.
What are you seeing in terms of the real estate that Century 21 is working through right now, and particularly married with the existing home sales data that we'd seen, of course, lagging, but at the same time, perhaps you can give us a bit more kind of real-time data component to this, given where we've seen the average price begin to improve a little bit.
Yeah, Brett, I think we're going to continue to see a somewhat of a challenging year from an overall units perspective. What's interesting is that NAR just put out at the end of February a big leap from January, obviously, at about 14.6% increase in overall sales. And I know that now the pending home sales report has increased 3 months in a row. So kind of away from the bottom that we saw, just call it, in the fourth quarter of last year. But we're still 23% behind where we were last year. And I think for the first time, you're seeing a little bit of a crack in the armor here, where after 131 straight months in a row of year-over-year price increase, we actually started pulling back on median price last month, about 20 basis points. So, there's still, I think, just like your last guest said, with inflation and mortgage rates, there's some guesswork to be done, but there are still a lot of people who are going to be, transacting and buying and selling homes. As we know, shelter's a necessity, and I think there's still a lot of pent-up demand out there.
And I say price improvement from perhaps a potential buyer's perspective here, Mike. I'm still out here doing as many Zillow searches and looking online as I can, as I imagine many other people are, and in different parts of the states here, personally for myself. So where are you seeing the most pickup? Is there any shift in regionality that you're also seeing, even as home buyers and prospective buyers are looking for deals where they can find them?
Brad, it's a great question, and there actually has been, right? We've seen the South, especially states like Texas and like Florida, really being drivers. And just this last month, it's really been the Northeast who has been holding steady and increasing from an overall housing perspective. Just literally on my block this week, yesterday, there was an open house. I must have saw 30 families through that open house. And so I think inventory continues to be the driving issue, right? We're under about 3 months of inventory when a normal market is about 6 months. And homes that, are out there and go to market are selling within 30 to 35 days. So, the serious buyers, the folks who I think have been in the market for a while and are truly looking for that home, are seeing a little bit less competition with where mortgage rates are. But, there's still a lot of folks out there who are looking to buy and sell homes.
And Mike, I just want to bring this back for our last question to the state of the Hispanic homeownership report that we were talking about earlier. Multi-generational living, really a big thing in the Hispanic community. I grew up in Miami, so I saw this firsthand. And I would think as a reaction to these high prices, unaffordable prices that we're seeing, maybe those options, that multi-generational option is being considered more. Just wondering if you're seeing that in the data.
Absolutely, Jared. In fact, the data shows that for the Latino population, multi-generation is about 32% of that cohort, and they are the largest cohort of multi-generation. A lot of co-borrowing as well. So people are getting creative, especially the Latino marketplace, to achieve that dream of home ownership. And you're absolutely right. I think that's what it's taking now with the affordability challenges that we're seeing in almost every market.
What should home buyers be watching with regard to the policy pathway from the Federal Reserve and how that impacts what they're going to be paying and even their financing options?
Yeah, Brad, I say this all the time, right? When you're when you're out there and you're actually renting, you're paying 100% interest, right? And so to me, it's one of the best gateways into wealth building and creation. There's no way to time the market, unfortunately. I was watching what the MBA was saying as far as believing that mortgage rates are going to average and come down. I don't know if that's true or not. But right now, you have to think of it like this. We're still below the historical 50-year average on mortgage rates. If you're looking to buy, if the price is right, make sure you're always monitoring your credit score. Make sure you're continuing to build for a down payment and working with a great real estate professional who's going to help usher you through this big process and the largest financial transaction that most people are going to conduct.
Mike, I think you got to hit me with the Addy for that open house that you were mentioning a moment ago. I mean, you can LinkedIn it to me or something like that, but I might have to check it out myself. Century 21 CEO Mike Miedler. Mike, appreciate the time this morning.
Great seeing you, Brad.
Likewise.